I apologize for being rather disheveled. I didn't sleep. Spent the whole night trying to reach out to pretty much anyone I know in Beirut and making sure that they're fine. It was a very long night, and I say this as someone who's away from Beirut at the moment. But I think if you consider that city home, and if you have any sort of love for Lebanon, then it would be very strange to have a good night's rest, given what happened. I'll start by saying that I released yesterday's episode about the Special Tribunal for Lebanon, with the understanding that the verdict was coming out on Friday. I read this morning that the Special Tribunal has postponed their judgment for 2 weeks. So I will re-release that episode in 2 weeks. It's available now, but I'll share it once again closer to the new date for the verdict. I tried putting together something quickly yesterday in the introduction to the episode, just a suggestion on how to donate, and I thought I'd dedicate this episode solely to that, and maybe touch on a few general things without going into any analysis, because I don't think it's the right time. And I know that I'm not the only person who feels that way. So regardless, it's there's time for that. Right now, it's the suffering is so immense that I think all the focus should be on that. So just to get the donations suggestions up. And again, I apologize that this is a bit of a unedited episode. I'm just going to link here a few suggestions. The first is the Lebanese Red Cross, and if you're able to, they have a link posted directly to their page, and you can easily donate to them. I'm going to open it once again. Sorry about this. Yes, their donations page takes contributions easily. So that's first suggestion, Lebanese Red Cross. Their link is also in the details box. Another suggestion would be Just Giving page for Impact Lebanon. Of course, Impact Lebanon has been around, but there's a page up, Disaster Relief for Beirut Explosion, and they're raising £5 million to provide disaster relief after the explosion in Beirut. It's a crowdfunding page, so that's another suggestion. I'm also going to sort of run through several local NGOs, and all of their pages will be in the details box to this episode. So just click on them and donate accordingly. There's Ahla Fawda, there's Beit al-Baraka, there's Live Love Beirut, there's Caritas Lebanon, Lebanon Needs, and there's Embrace, and there's several other suggestions as well. So I'll also say something that for anyone who's contributing to the podcast this month in August, every donation, every contribution will be forwarded on to Lebanese Red Cross. So that's from my side. Anyone who's contributing for the month of August, I will simply just forward those donations to the Lebanese Red Cross. I'm repeating myself, I know. I think I may have slept 30 minutes. There's a piece that I woke up to this morning. A friend of mine who's been on the podcast several times. Faysal Itani. And I actually recently saw him in March, Washington, D.C. I did an episode with him, and we touched on corruption and incompetence and holding the Lebanese state to account and of course the other side of the story, the geopolitics, which is really, I think, his sort of professional focus, if you will, is on sub-state behavior and geopolitics and the like, Middle East politics. But he's an astute observer, somebody who's experienced the corruption up front. And he shared an opinion piece in the New York Times. It's called Lebanon's Mushroom Cloud of Incompetence. Yesterday's explosion, which destroyed Beirut's port, much of the city, and countless lives, was the result of business as usual. I'm linking this opinion piece because it's from the 1990s, late 1990s. He's an ambitious sort of civil servant, if you will, trying to upgrade the filing, the Lebanese port, digitize the sort of the process. This is over 20 years ago. And he was at the port, and he sort of elaborates his own sort of experience in dealing with mismanagement and corruption. I'm going to just read a few sections. And he starts by saying, "My first summer job was at the port of Beirut. It was the late 90s and I was just a teenager. I spent muggy months entering shipping data as part of an ambitious new program to move the port from analog to digital log keeping. It was as unglamorous as you would expect from a bottom-rung job in the bowels of Middle East bureaucracy. But despite the heat and the monotony, there was optimism." And he's describing the post-Civil War environment where the port was rebuilt, was repaired, and was functioning again. And even back then, I mean, the story of Lebanon's corruption today goes back to those years, of course. And there's just public servants, civil servants, government officials, the whole lot, actively turning away, turning a blind eye to the bad decisions being made. And the port is gone, blown up. Multiple explosions. I mean, 2 big explosions, the second one causing a mushroom cloud effect. What appears to be 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate. I mean, an explosive chemical. Apparently the world depends on it for fertilizer and the like, and it's part of, I mean, it's meant to be handled differently. And it's also an explosive material, construction and those things. It's often sought after when, you know, bad actors want to get their hands on something like that. That said, the fact that Lebanon has ammonium nitrate is not the story. The story is that 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate were just meters away from a very, very, sorry about this, a residential neighborhood. I mean, a neighborhood that anyone who's been through Beirut in the last maybe 15 years, 20 years has definitely gone through this neighborhood. It's Jemmezi, Maram Khair. And I say that because people have lived there even during the Civil War. It's a residential neighborhood. People stayed living there after the Civil War ended. It's just that it became a nightlife destination and cafes and sort of a more hip part of the city. It's where I spend most of my social evenings. And it's unrecognizable right now. I mean, yeah, the images are horrifying. There are many people I know, some of them are friends from the podcast, Others are just sort of friends of mine in Beirut. They are injured. Their homes were blown apart. So much material damage. Across the city on Bliss Street, just west of AUB, my mom lives in Ross, Beirut, and family apartment took a hit. Kitchen, living room, damage. I mean, anywhere in Beirut, I think. I mean, it's just, they're saying up to half of the city was impacted by this explosion, and it'll be something like $15 billion in repair. I'm just pointing that I'm adding statistics here. They're not really important. I think it's the human suffering that matters. But this kind of this level of incompetence is, for better or worse, part and parcel to post-war Lebanon. With that said, I think it's also important to recognize something, and I'm not going to go too deep into this. Maybe at a later stage, when the time is more appropriate, it can be explored further. But it's not a secret that the security of the port, the security of the airport, is more or less one group's domain, more or less. I'm not saying that they kept the ammonium nitrate there for their own purposes. I'm not saying that they necessarily were comfortable with having that much ammonium nitrate in one location, right in the middle of the city. But turning a blind eye to their activities is also just a part of the post-war experience. So I think the corruption, the magnitude of corruption, and it doesn't matter if individuals or groups or one particular group was trying to take advantage of that ammonium nitrate dump. The fact is that the Lebanese state, in its current capacity, whatever's left of it, is unable to just take care of the well-being or the lives of Beiruti residents. So the victims here are Lebanese citizens, and over 100 died, and the statistics of injuries is staggering. Over 4,000 injured. The material damage, I mean, in itself, and seems like there's something that's coming to an end. Coming to an end meaning that it's abundantly clear now that what you see is a state that is ungovernable, and something new will have to take over at some point. There's some new relationship between the citizens, between the state and its citizens, will have to come to fruition. I don't think, and this has been expressed in many episodes on this podcast, I don't think reform is no longer a possibility. But that symbiotic relationship between extreme corruption and extreme malice, I mean, this is violence. This is violence against citizens. You know, I'm just going to, I don't want to make it personal, but I'll just add something here that in recent years, I've been staying in Maram Khair when I visit Beirut. The port is my view. I mean, I can see it. It's literally the cranes are my view, and I mean, so many people I know use Sharl Hello. They drive past Sharl Hello around that time. I mean, I'm often heading north to Tripoli, and it doesn't even matter. You don't have to be heading north to Tripoli. The fact that if you're just in Beirut now, and you're close enough to the port, and you're unaware that there's that much explosives not being checked thoroughly, or even the fact that it's there to begin with, that you're at risk your life is at risk by simply being in Beirut, and in particular certain parts of the city, that you could die. I mean, that's I think that's it. There's nothing more to add to that. And there's no it's beyond demonstrations, it's beyond protests, it's beyond policy papers, it's beyond sort of analysis, I think. It's beyond thought. This is just the end of something that didn't work. It rotted its way to hell. I'm just lucky that from the people I love and care for, that no one is dead. And I'm lucky. But I wish I was there. I wish I was there. And I really feel bad for Beirut. It would mean a great deal if anyone watching or listening to this episode donates, and just click on the details box. Thank you.